going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Monday Night Raw review. So, this Monday Night Raw was all about the new roster taking effect and the kicking off the World Heavyweight Championship tournament to determine who's going to Night of Champions on the Raw side to compete for that title. So, and as I said, that's how they started off the show with a Cody Rhodes promo. And I understand. You're like, wait a minute. You said they started off with the tournament. No, they started off with Cody Rhodes, and he's the one who kicked off the tournament. That's what I meant by that. And then that's not even complete. Cody Rhodes came out and basically cut a promo about his victory over Brock Lesnar at Backlash, and how he was ready to move forward to compete and finish his story by winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And he said he won't stop until the referee announces that the winner and the new World Heavyweight Champion, Cody Rhodes. And he said he had the pleasure, honor, kicking off the tournament by saying, "Let the tournament begin," and then cueing Seth Rollins music. Now, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes was not in the same triple threat match. Instead, the first match of the night would be Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And this was a good beginning to this night's show with a match, per match wise. And Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, Shinsuke Nakamura, they did their thing in this match. It was a good triple threat match. A lot of spots, a lot of story to tell there, but you gotta remember, it wasn't too much of it because they wanted to save it for the main event. Therefore, after some good old-fashioned wrestling, Seth Rollins came out as the victor, who will go on to face the winner in the main event tonight, the next triple threat match. But we got some more story to tell before then. So then we got the next match, which is Mustafa Ali versus Otis, and that was a fun little match with this is like, I guess, part 2 to that, because I think last week he defeated Chad Gable. Now this week it was Otis, and it was due to distractions with Chad Gable and Maxine Dupree, but Otis would get pinned by Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali take the victory. He's been getting some victories lately. They give him some good looks. Glad to see it. The Miz cut a backstage promo about how he was going to win the tournament and basically become the new World Heavyweight Champion, which started the next match, which is the Miz versus Finn Balor versus Cody Rhodes, and this is the other triple threat match for the in the tournament. And this match was also good, but it's not the main story. The main story here involves Brock Lesnar, but I'm gonna get to that. And the match was good right up into the moment where it looked like Cody Rhodes was for sure winning and going on to face Seth freaking Rollins. But after hitting he hit 3 crossroads on the Miz. Right when he was getting ready to pin the Miz, Brock Lesnar would pull his will pull him out of the ring by his feet and decimate him. Because it's a triple threat match, it means there's no disqualification. And Finn Balor would take advantage, hitting the Miz with the coup de grace and sealing the deal. And now the big story is that in the main event, it will be Finn Balor versus Seth freaking Rollins to determine who goes to Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia to compete for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that in itself is a story that they told perfectly. But we got to continue on with this Brock Lesnar angle. So, after Finn Balor's hand was raised and everybody cleared the ring, Brock Lesnar proceeded to decimate Cody Rhodes even more by giving him another F. He gave him an F5 I meant to say that. He gave him an F5 when he pulled him out the ring, and then he F5'd him again on the announcer table and broke it. Though the announcer table didn't give way immediately, like Cody Rhodes like hit the table, and after the F5, the table kind of still stayed in place, and then as Cody Rhodes like landed and then like rolled over, the table then broke. It was a little delayed, but I take it. And then Brock Lesnar would cut a promo on Cody. He asked for a microphone and basically proceeded to scare the living hell out of me. When you think about it in real life, this man, if you actually able to make this man angry, I would. That was the one thing I was thinking, like, if that man was really angry like this in real life at you, you'd be scared. But he cut a promo saying that to tell people to look at his face. He said, "Look at my face." He was crazy. He had a big old, he had a black eye cut right here. I didn't even realize he had a cut right here on his nose and lip from when Cody hit him in that promo. He said he told Cody that he lucked into that victory at Backlash, and he lucked into Brock Lesnar's face cut. He told Cody that he wanted, since you want to take credit for his face, he said you lucked into this face and you lucked into your victory, and that he also mocked him by saying, "What do you want to talk about, Cody?" He said, "I know I want to talk about me. I want to talk about me. Look at my face." He's like, he kept telling the people to look at his face, and I didn't exaggerate that. He did, like when he was talking about he wanted to talk about me, he did it again. Said he told yelling at the camera to look at his face and yelling at Cody to look at his face. And then he basically challenged Cody Rhodes to a match at Night of Champions. We will get the next match, which is Rhea Ripley versus Dana Brooke, which is a good thing for Dana. She got some shine, but it was pretty much a squash match. Nothing really came of it, other than I guess Natalya being the next person to challenge Rhea, because Natalya basically after the match, Rhea would proceed to beat up Dana Brooke some more, but Natalya would come out and basically stop the beating, but not like beating her up. She just basically, when Natalya came out, Rhea stopped trying to beat up Dana Brooke, and they just stared each other in the face. And then as Rhea was getting ready to go in, like she was about to attack, Dominic stopped her, and for the rare few times, he whispered in her ear, and they left. Then we would get a match that was started backstage with Imperium and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was trying to have a conversation backstage, but they would get interrupted by Imperium, who was walking around like people with a microphone praising the ring general, and that they felt like they was being disrespected by Kevin Owens and them, telling them to wait or come back in 5 minutes to tell them what they was going to say, which got this match underway. And this was a fun, good tag team match. Nothing too great, but it was definitely a good one. It was definitely a good match. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn would get the victory. We got Zoe Stark. This next match also came about as a backstage segment where Zoe Stark was being interviewed about her debut on Raw, or upcoming debut. But then that happened sooner than later. As Zoe, who's clearly working as a heel, would talk about the women's locker room, she noted crazed Nikki Cross just sitting there talking to herself. She says, "See, this is what I'm talking about. People like her," and while Nikki's just muttering nonsense crazy to herself, Zoe challenged Nikki to a match, and Nikki says she loves to play, which I guess is her way of saying, okay, yes, Nikki loves to play. Nikki loves to play. Anyway, and that's how that match got started, with Zoe and Nikki's. Excuse me, I thought I was about to sneeze there. Turned out just to be a yarn. But yeah, this was a good match for Zoe Stark. She didn't totally squash Nikki, but she didn't totally dominate. I don't know. If Nikki didn't totally dominate or it didn't make it a fair fight, it still put over Zoe, but it also kept Nikki as the strong, crazed person she is. But yeah, it was a good outing for Zoe Stark, and Zoe Stark would get the victory. Trish would come out and cut a promo about she was been the one posting these missing posters about Becky Lynch, and she came out and basically doing the whole thank you Trish thing by telling everybody she should be thanking her for trying to find Becky Lynch, and that she's used all her social media platforms and everything to find Becky Lynch, and that Becky will be found sooner or later. Then she had a fake out. Becky Lynch music would come on. It'll be a fake out of her trying to fake the crowd out, calling the crowd dummies and doofus for believing that Becky Lynch music that was Becky Lynch, and that she used that she was going to tell the crowd the story about her kid, how they wanted to dial and wanted them to dial Becky Lynch. And as she was telling the story, Becky Lynch music would hit again for a second time, but she was trying to tell the people, the production, hey, okay, the joke is over with. We only was going to do that one time. Why is her music hitting again? And this time it's because Becky Lynch did return, and she was standing right behind Trish. And Trish as she came to that realization, because she was still trying to talk to them and tell them the music off, but then she realized it's because Becky Lynch, she felt it, and she was like, yeah, she's behind me, isn't she? So she turned around and faced Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch would hit her with a right, and they would brawl for a little bit with Becky sending Trish running, and thus Trish and Becky told Trish that she was back to whoop her ass, but noticeably she didn't challenge her to a match at Night of Champions, which I figured because, well, Trish is Canadian. So I figured this match would take place somewhere else other than Night of Champions. If you don't know, Night of Champions take place in Saudi Arabia. So that's one of the reasons why it was immediately challenged to at Night of Champions. Then we would get the next match, which is Xavier Woods. I was only about to call him King Woods, but Xavier Woods versus Dominic Mysterio. This started from a backstage promo where I guess Dom and Rio was having an interview, but Xavier and Kira Tozawa was laughing too loud and interrupted, and thus some run off at the mouth, and he challenged Dom to a match, and Dom accepted. And this how we got this match. This was a good match for both superstars. It didn't do much for either. It was about even. If I would say if it put somebody over, it put Dom over, but it pretty much I felt like it didn't do much. It didn't hinder Xavier that much with the loss, but it didn't do much for Dom too with the win. So if I didn't make myself clear, Dominic Mysterio got the victory here over Xavier Woods, but it's because he won with a roll up, so it wasn't a decisive win. Then we got the main event, which is Finn Balor versus Seth freaking Rollins. And according to, I also like to mention that the match has been made official. I forgot Cody Rhodes had a backstage promo where he talked about it, and he pretty much accepted the challenge, and it's been made official. The very first match, at least, that's been announced for Night Champions will be Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, Part 2. But yeah, now we got to the main event, and this was a good main event. This was worthy of main event because it told the story, because it involves the same two people. When the Universal Championship was first introduced, Finn Balor beat Seth Rollins to become the inaugural, the first Universal Champion. But Seth Rollins' buckle bomb, or it was either when he hit him with the buckle bomb or when he did it on the outside, it dislocated Finn Balor's arm, and Finn Balor basically won. He popped it back in place, won, but he had to relinquish it through the injury because his dislocation was a lot more serious than it seemed like. And then he never been able to get back into this main event scene since. He's been this is the first time he's been like actually almost it felt like they was gonna push him back into the main event scene again, but they told that story and they did it beautifully because he did the same thing to Seth Rollins that Seth Rollins did to him to dislocate his arm. He even said it after he did the Seth Rollins on buckle bomb, but instead on the outside barricade. He yelled at Seth Rollins, how do you like it, huh, Seth? How do it feels? And they told the story beautifully of Finn Balor still holding a grudge against Seth Rollins for that injury, because that injury is what led him to not be able to be in the main event scene pretty much ever since then. Like, and that's like the truth. A lot they played that story off because it's the truth. Ever since that injury, he has not been in the main event scene, and this match played up to that perfectly. And this match ended the opposite way, because they also said that Seth Rollins had remembered that night, even though he not for being sorry that he dislocated his arm, but for the fact that he lost even after that. And Seth Rollins now has written that wrong by beating Finn Balor to go on to the finals of this tournament at Night of Champions. So now, all Seth Rollins have to do now is wait for his SmackDown opponent, and that is your show. This was a good main event. I enjoyed it. It told a great story. This was a good show overall. Some of the matches felt a little but then most of the matches was to either put over new talent, or it was just because the main focus was on the tournament. Some of the storytelling in the matches didn't feel as good, but it wasn't. None of the matches was bad. It was just like they were felt like good matches but there was also bathroom break matches. I'm going to give this a generous 8 out of 10 big ups, just because it wasn't a bad show. It was a decent show. It was a good, decent show. Yeah. So if you enjoy my review and you agree with me, let me know in the comments down below. But also hit this button up here for all of my WWE reviews. And if you enjoy this video so much and want to support the channel, you know what to do, guys. Hit those buttons, and as always, hit any one of these videos for more of my amazing content. But don't go anywhere, because I got more coming your way. Peace.